All right, let's jump right into this explainer because today we're unpacking a groundbreaking communication model that reveals something truly wild. Basically, humanity is currently staging this massive, quiet rebellion against corporate tech monopolies. And honestly, understanding exactly how we're doing it is going to completely change the way you look at the phone in your pocket.
Section 1. Two Worlds, One Battle. To really wrap our heads around this global rebellion, we need to start by looking at two starkly different places on Earth. Picture this. On one side, you have the quiet, rugged hills just an hour outside the Kathmandu Valley. Over there, electricity is spotty, mobile data is insanely expensive, but young people aren't just sitting around. They're actively recording local oral histories and sharing them entirely offline using these massive Bluetooth meshes. They're basically building their own independent networks to keep their culture alive. Now flip over to the other extreme. Hyper-connected megacities like New York or Tokyo. Urban teenagers there are playing a completely different game. To dodge corporate AI filters that constantly hide or censor their posts, they've literally invented a coded language. They're using strategic typos or words like unalive instead of die to talk about sensitive issues, which is this whole phenomenon known as algospeak.
So you really have to wonder, what could a Himalayan farmer saving ancient stories and a tech-savvy urban teen dodging AI filters possibly have in common? I mean, on the surface, absolutely nothing, right? But the crazy thing is, they are actually fighting the exact same battle. They are both actively reclaiming authentic human connection from systems that were designed to control them.
Section 2. The Crisis of Outdated Science.
The problem is, if you ask the brightest minds in university communication departments why this resistance is happening, they kind of hit a brick wall. And that's because they're relying on totally outdated science. Back in the mid-1900s, we had what was called the pipe model, the idea that media is just a literal tube pushing information to a completely passive audience. Later on, we upgraded to the process model, which finally admitted, okay, the internet is a two-way street with likes and shares. But here we are in the 2020s, and these old equations have created a massive theoretical blind spot. You literally cannot explain global AI, TikTok algorithms, and offline Bluetooth meshes using theories from the 20th century.
And that brings us to the bold new theory we're exploring today, the ecology of presence. This model completely rewrites the playbook. It argues that the internet is no longer just some tool we pick up and put down. No, it's a full-blown environment that we inhabit. Think about it. We don't really log on anymore, do we? We basically live inside a permanent digital habitat. And the core idea here is that human beings are biologically hardwired to connect. We have this deep, unstoppable urge to feel truly present with other people. The huge conflict of our time is that these digital habitats we live in, they aren't built for that biological urge anymore. They are optimized entirely for corporate monetization.
Section 3. Inside the Digital Cage.
Because these platforms are built for profit rather than real presence, humanity finds itself trapped across a very divided map. Take a look at these numbers from the ITU. They are absolutely staggering. Right now, there are 6 billion people online navigating this digital space. But look at that other chunk. 2.2 billion people are locked entirely outside the digital world, living completely offline. The Ecology of Presence model shows us this isn't just a simple digital divide. It's a dual-layered trap. They call it the cage. For those 6 billion people online, the cage isn't visible. It's software-driven. You're boxed in by corporate algorithms that sanitize your feeds and turn your genuine relationships into clean data for advertisers. But for the 2.2 billion offline, their cage is intensely physical. They are structurally shut out by rugged terrain, unstable power grids, and telecom monopolies charging crazy high data tariffs. But, as you'll see, it's actually out there, in that rugged terrain, where some of the most brilliant forms of resistance are happening right now.
Section 4. Law of Algorithmic Fracture.
Because here's the thing about human beings. We don't just sit quietly when the cage gets too tight. We push back. And that leads to probably the most fascinating breakthrough of this model, the law of algorithmic fracture. I absolutely love this concept. It basically says that human communication intent cannot be permanently compressed by a corporation. When a platform gets so restrictive that it blocks authentic connection, it triggers a structural break. In other words, when the algorithm gets too greedy, humanity purposefully weaponizes chaos to shatter the system's logic. We literally break the machine, just enough so we can find each other again. And this perfectly answers our opening mystery. This fracture is exactly what's happening globally. Urban users are mutating language into algospeak and using strategic typos to blind the AI filters. Meanwhile, rural communities, like those farmers in the Kathmandu Valley,
are bypassing the telecom monopolies entirely. By blending their ancient oral traditions with survival-driven offline Bluetooth meshes, they're keeping their networks human. Both groups are deliberately triggering a structural break against the cage.
Section 5. Axiom of the ridgeline. So going forward, how are we supposed to judge the actual worth of the tech we use every day? How do we separate a meaningful tool from a corporate trap? Well, the model anchors itself on something called the axiom of the ridgeline. It mandates that a communication tool's true value is measured by how it serves a person out at the absolute outermost physical and cultural edge of the map. If your technology can't help a person in a remote hillside hut survive, protect their identity, or defeat isolation, then it's not really a tool for human connection at all. It's just an operational manual for a monopoly.
Now we know more intrusive tech is coming, right? Virtual reality, direct neural interfaces, the digital cage is going to try to close even tighter around our minds. But this model offers a really comforting scientific prediction. You simply cannot corporate optimize the human soul. No matter how perfectly these companies build the cage, our hardwired biological drive to connect is always going to pass right through the bars.
So, the takeaways from this explainer really force us to look in the mirror. As these platforms push harder to sanitize our language and monetize our present, ask yourself, how are you resisting? As the digital cage tries to close around us, what links will you go to? What chaos will you leverage to reclaim authentic human connection in your own life? Keep that in mind the next time you unlock your screen.